Like its predecessor, Alone in the Dark 2 is a polygon-based adventure game which allows you to move freely throughout its environment. French developers Infogram have clearly adopted an attitude of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There are no earth-shattering changes to the interface or gameplay in this long-anticipated sequel. Just everything the first one had to offer, and plenty of it. One dislikable element which returns in quantity is combat. Many gamers complained about how varying camera angles made fighting impossible in the first game, and in that respect, 2 is little better than 1. It's sometimes necessary to fight a creature you can't even see on the screen, and aiming is largely a matter of trial and error, forcing you to waste precious ammunition to draw a bead on an attacking horror. The excessive amount of fighting is mitigated somewhat by the switch to a different lead character later in the game. But there are still way too many guns here, especially in the enemy's hands. I mean, really, aren't evil nasties from beyond supposed to, bite your face off or something? Ironically, it's those same camera angle changes that provide Alone in the Dark 2 with its greatest asset, its tone. There are very few games out there that deal with pulp-style horror, and a precious handful that do it well. The Alone in the Dark games, with their delightfully animated polygon characters and grungy bitmapped rooms and cool cinematography, absolutely ooze atmosphere. I just wish the designers had concentrated more on the excellent plot than the tedious combat. In general, the game looks way better than the first. The polygon graphics are faster and cleaner, and facial expressions, especially during some cutscenes, are a marked improvement over Alone 1. The bitmapped backgrounds are also a step up, doing an excellent job of depicting gloomy Hell's Kitchen in exquisite detail. The painted cutscenes are so good I almost wish the entire game had been rendered in this fashion. They make the polygon graphics look shabby by comparison. Certain aspects of controlling the lead character were a challenge in the first game. These have been cleaned up in the sequel. For instance, running is much easier. The number of actions your character can perform has been reduced as well, making it easier to manipulate the playing environment and eliminating those irritating jumping puzzles we all hated so much. Alone 2 has another major improvement in the game engine. It gets rid of many items once they're properly used. This makes figuring out which items belong to which puzzle easier and eliminates both inventory juggling and the annoying clutter caused by dropping used objects. Infogram did include one feature which should earn them the Boot to the Head award. The music in 1 was moody and atmospheric, enhancing the tone of the adventure. In 2, while the music is good quality throughout, there are a few pieces which are highly unsuited to the plot. 2's overall feel suffers as a result, and with any luck, we'll see some new music with the release of the CD-ROM version. Okay, you may ask, all of these gripes aside, what's the bottom line on gameplay? Well, it can't be faulted in that department. Except for the overwhelming amount of combat in the first part of the game, Alone in the Dark 2 features gameplay which is solid and interesting. The puzzles are nothing on 1, but 2 makes up for this by being easily twice as large. As in Alone in the Dark 1, you must unravel the mysteries concealed within a rotting ancient mansion. Unlike the first game, you don't get a choice of lead characters this time. Edward Carnby, the detective from Alone in the Dark 1, is back, and it's up to him to save an innocent girl from the spawn of hell who kidnapped her. Young Grace is being held captive in Hell's Kitchen, which has been mysteriously transformed from a neighborhood in New York, surprise, to a decaying mansion in California. After he gets a note from his friend Stryker, who has inconveniently also gone missing after attempting to retrieve the girl, Carnby decides to set out on his own to rescue them. What a guy. In the process, Carnby must blast his way into Hell's Kitchen, negotiate a complicated hedge maze while attempting not to be perforated by Tommy gun-toting thugs, sneak into the house itself through a secret passage in the basement, and, of course, eliminate an entire cabal of evil pirates dabbling in the black arts. What do I mean by eliminate? Well, he ain't selling Amway products, that's for sure. On rare occasions, Carnby will be able to shoot back, but ammunition is pretty hard to come by. As always, the best way to kill your opponents is to use your head. Many fights can be avoided or delayed, and it goes without saying that they should be. Some of the non-combat puzzles are pretty good. However, these too can be quite a headache. If you aren't exactly in the right place to perform certain actions, they will fail even if you're using the correct object. If you think you know the right thing to do, be sure and try it from several different positions before giving up. As is traditional, when you fail and die, you are treated to an amusing cutscene of Carnby dying grotesquely. This is him being pitched out a nasty doorway by a burly guard, and this is Carnby plummeting to his final swim in the Pacific. With Alone in the Dark 2, gamers expected an ambitious effort, and while it's not a failure, it's not the second coming it's hailed as. It still delivers several hours of entertaining gameplay and holds its own against other adventure games on the market. Those who are entranced with the original will be equally entranced by this one. Now, if only Infogrames would leave the guns out of the